The aviation industry is in support of the hand baggage regulations issued by the Airports Company South Africa. The new regulations are meant for domestic routes, which align with aviation safety and compliance standards. Joining us to tell us some more about these regulations is Munetsi. He's the CEO of the Airlines Association of South Africa. Mr. Munetsi, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Firstly, can you provide an overview of the recent hand baggage regulations which were implemented by ACSA and also the motivation behind these changes as we approach the festive season?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. The issue really is that these are not new regulations. These are regulations that have always been in existence. What ACSA is doing in collaboration with all the airlines that operate into and out of the ACSA airports is to make sure that everybody complies and conforms with the regulations. And they are very basic regulations. First and foremost, safety is non-negotiable, so we make sure that your baggage complies and conforms with the safety regulations for safe airline operations. So to start with, there are two categories of baggage allowance that you are allowed to take on board the aircraft. And this is specifically targeting baggage that goes on board the aircraft. First and foremost, depending on which class of service you are traveling, in business class or what we call premium class, you are allowed 2 pieces of baggage plus a laptop carry-on bag that you can carry on board. When you are traveling in economy class, you are allowed 1 piece of baggage that you can take on board with you, plus a laptop bag. The piece of luggage that you can carry on board, both business class and economy class, is maximum 7 kilograms per item. You are not allowed to carry more than 7 kilograms per item for those baggage that you take on board the aircraft. So what we are actually doing is we are working very, very closely with ACSA and our airline members. As you are aware, we are the Airlines Association of Southern Africa. So all airlines that operate into and out of ACSA airports in South Africa are going to comply and make sure that passengers are conforming with those requirements.
Let's expand on that. You also mentioned that the aviation industry is rallying behind ACSA's initiative. Could you elaborate on this collaboration between ACSA, BARSA, as well as ASA in strengthening hand baggage regulations?
Exactly. So the airline associations, industry associations, the Airlines Association of Southern Africa and the BARSA, Board of Airline Representatives of South Africa, we are running together with ACSA so that we make sure that, number one, there is seamless, flawless movement of our passengers. Because remember, the airlines sell to you one and one only thing. They are providing you with a service, and that service is based on their being able to achieve what we call schedule integrity. Schedule integrity means on-time performance. When they say their flight is going to take off at a particular time, that's the promise they are making to you as the customers. And us as the industry associations, on behalf of the airlines, we would like to make sure that we support ACSA and any other entity that enables us to be able to confirm and commit to that schedule integrity, number one. Number two, which is even more paramount, ACSA, in conjunction with us as airlines, are committed to achieving the standards that our Civil Aviation Authority has been able to oversight for many, many years in terms of safety regulations. Safety is non-negotiable. ACSA are the aerodrome operators, and we are the aircraft operators. All of us, in conjunction with the Civil Aviation Authority, are going to make sure that we, number one, make sure that safety is not negotiated or is non-negotiable. We have to comply with the safety regulations. And part of those safety regulations are also in terms of the cabin baggage that you can carry on board the aircraft.
Let's crystallize this point, Mr. Munetsi. How do these regulations then align with aviation safety and compliance standards? And what specific measures are being introduced to manage hand baggage and identify non-compliant items?
So in terms of compliance, we must be very proud of our Civil Aviation Authority. Amongst the many audits that have been done and carried out by the International Civil Aviation Authority in conjunction with the American Federal Aviation Authority. Our Civil Aviation Authority were audited this year, March, April, and they scored one of the highest safety audits, upwards of 92%, which is very, very commendable. It means that their oversight for us as airline operators is exceptionally high. In that way, we are then very secure in making sure that we comply with the regulations that they recommend to us in terms of the entire aviation operation. When we crystallize that to the actual operations at the airport, it boils down to very simple things such as complying with the regulations that say, when you are checking in your baggage, the check-in agent asks you some very specific questions about your baggage. And we say we are actually appealing to our passengers to please comply. Those people are actually making sure that you are safe. They are not irritating you. I know that some people feel irritated when they are asked questions about, is this your bag? Did you pack your bag? Did you lose sight of your bag before you get to the airport? And all those kinds of questions. It is for your own safety and for the safety of everybody else. So we are urging our passengers to please comply and answer those questions as truthfully as possible. So that's the first line of defense that we all have. Passengers, airlines, aircraft operators, as well as the airports. This is our line of defense. Number two, when we are going through the second channel, which is the security channel, those people that ask you to take out your laptop and also inspect the liquids, aerosols, and gels, they are not just being an irritant to you. They are actually ensuring that we are in compliance with the safety regulations as per the standard recommended practices given to us by, number one, our Civil Aviation Authority, in conformity with the International Civil Aviation Organization. And finally, when you are about to board your aircraft, the airline operators at the boarding gate will look at your baggage. If for whatever reason they believe your baggage is oversized, they'll ask you to put your baggage into the baggage measuring unit. They are not just being vindictive; they are actually making sure that everybody complies.
Judging by what you're saying, it would seem that these regulations are seen as preemptive measures against potentially illegal or even hazardous items. How do these measures then contribute to combating criminal activities at airports?
These measures indeed do combat and assist in terms of curtailing criminal activity, in that no baggage that is not identified to a passenger ends up being on an aircraft, because that's the root of a lot of challenges. Once baggage that is not been identified to belong to a passenger who is on that aircraft, once that baggage gets on board the aircraft, all kinds of things can happen. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we also want to make sure that whatever items are in that baggage, whether it is checked in and put in the hold of the aircraft, or it is going to go on board the aircraft, whatever items are in that baggage are compliant with the laws and regulations of the country and of the Civil Aviation Authority as well. And thirdly, most importantly, we also want to make sure that when you are traveling, you are secure in your thoughts and knowledge that the airlines, the Civil Aviation Authority, and the airport operators have made sure that you are 100% secure in that operation.
You mentioned something interesting regarding the weighing of luggage. From a safety perspective, how does the hand baggage regulations help to identify as well as to manage overweight luggage that could pose risks to both aircraft and passengers as well?
And more than that, so what happens is when an aircraft is about to take off, there is quite a lot of preparations that take place. For lack of time, let me just maybe shorten and summarize and say the airline operator itself has a series of checks and balances that they want to make sure are complied with, so that by the time the captain and the co-pilot are sitting in the cockpit and they are given documentation that says, we have weighed all the passengers that are getting on board the aircraft, we have weighed all the baggage, and we have also made sure that you've got enough fuel, which also comprises a weight of the aircraft. We are in compliance with what we call maximum takeoff weight. Now, that's a complicated and sophisticated way of calculating how this maximum takeoff weight is actually given to us by the original equipment manufacturers. But be that as it may, all we are saying is you as a passenger, all you have to do is don't get involved in the complicated and complex calculations that we as airlines do. All you have to do is comply with the very simple regulation that says, number one, if you are carrying baggage on board the aircraft, it must not be more than 7 kilograms in weight. And there are specific dimensions that you must comply with. Number two, when you have checked in baggage, make sure that you yourself as the passenger, you have packed the baggage, and you have not lost sight of that baggage until you hand it over to the airline when you check it in. That's all we are saying. And that will ensure that we have a safe and secure operations, which we have been proud of for these so many years in South Africa.
So due to the regulations, passengers are also advised to arrive early at the airport. How will you ensure a seamless travel experience for passengers, and what accommodations are in place for potential delays here?
So that's a very good point that you raised there, because as you are aware, when you make your bookings, whether you're making the flight bookings online with the airline directly, or you are doing it through your travel agent, or you are even doing it with an online travel agent, whichever method you use, when you make your booking and the booking is being confirmed, you are given 2 times. The first time that you are given is the time of departure. That is the time the aircraft is scheduled to take off. That's a very important time that you must keep in mind. The second time that you are given is the time frame in which you must check in. That check-in time gives you allowance to be able to check in and go through the other processes that we spoke about earlier in terms of security checkpoint and boarding. So once you comply, we have made calculations in terms of the volume of passengers that are going to go through the airport at any particular time. That's why we're able then to increase the number of staff members, the number of checkpoints, and the number of boarding gates to make sure that airlines are able to commit and be able to actually achieve their own time performance in terms of their schedule integrity. So that is the most important thing for us to say. Over and above the security concerns, safety and security concerns, we also want to make sure that we live up to the promise as airlines that we've made to you, our customers, in terms of schedule integrity. Yes, we are going through the festive season now. There's going to be an increase in terms of the volumes of passengers traveling, not only originating from our domestic stations, but quite a number of passengers coming from international stations, connecting and so forth. We have systems and processes in place that enable us to make sure that we still maintain our schedule integrity and we are able to depart on time.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Aaron Munetsi. He's the CEO of the Airlines Association of Southern Africa, for really providing valuable insights into the recent hand baggage regulations.